Hi everyone and welcome to our English lesson for today. Right, we are going to carry on with what we were learning yesterday. So, do you remember yesterday we were thinking about the story of the Gruffalo and you were ordering the story and the key events that happened. So you either ordered my story where I'd written my key events cards. You might have chosen to draw pictures and made your own events cards, or you might have challenged yourself and written your own key events cards and put those in order. So I'm going to quickly share my screen with you so we can see how we're carrying on with our learning today. So we're carrying on with our learning objective. So if I can put this onto big screen, you can see it better. So it's the same as yesterday because we are going to identify the key events and put them in order. We're carrying on with that. So yesterday you listed the main events because you will have made your own key events cards, or you might have ordered mine, but you would still then have found out the key events. You will have found the first and last event because you will have put them into an order and you'll have the first one and the last one. And then you will have had to compare the events and put them into a sequence. So now that you've done that with your key events cards, I want us to look at that success criteria 3 again, and that we can compare the events and sequence them. Because we've got our key event cards, but I think we need to understand the story a little bit more if we're going to rewrite it in our own words. So let's have a look quickly at what we're going to do. We're going to order our events that we've got, but we're going to put them onto a story map. So let's quickly recap what our story was using my key event cards. You might like to have yours out in front of you so you can check that you've got yours in the right order. So if you need to pause the video to get yours, off you go, put them all in the right order. Okay, so let's remind ourselves of the key events of the story. Remember, this isn't all the story written down, these are just the main things that happen. So, first one, a mouse took a stroll through a deep, dark wood. A fox saw the mouse and asked him to go into his underground house. The next one was that the fox didn't know what a Gruffalo is. So he told him he has terrible tusks and terrible claws, terrible teeth in his terrible jaws. And the fox goes away. Next one, the mouse meets an owl and he asks him to have tea in his treetop house. But the owl doesn't know what a Gruffalo is. So the mouse tells him he has knobbly knees, turned out toes, and a poisonous wart at the end of his nose. The owl flies away. The mouse then meets a snake, and the snake invites him into his log pile house. And the snake doesn't know what a Gruffalo is. So the mouse tells him he has orange eyes, a black tongue, and purple prickles all over his back. The snake slides away. Then the mouse meets the Gruffalo. The mouse tells the Gruffalo that he is the scariest creature in the whole of the wood. The mouse and the Gruffalo meet the snake, and he runs away scared. Then they meet the owl, and he flies away scared. Then they meet the fox, and he runs away scared. the Gruffalo becomes scared of the mouse and he runs away. And finally, the mouse finds a nut and he has that for his dinner. So those are our key events of our story in the right order. So for today's task, I would like you now to create a story map. So have a look at mine. Let me share my screen again with you and you can see how I've been getting on. So where is it? There we go. So have a look at my story map. Now I did mine at the weekend and I didn't have much on at the weekend. Wasn't a very busy one for me. So I had time to colour mine in and make mine look really beautiful. If you've got time to do that too, that would be super because it would mean that your presentation is fantastic and you've put so much care into your work. But if you haven't got time, if you can just make sure you sketch out your story map using some pictures for the key events, that'd be great. So look, you can see here, there's my mouse, he's in the deep dark wood. Then do you remember in my key events card, the mouse meets the fox and he looks good. He asks him for dinner in his underground house. He doesn't know what the Gruffalo is. So the mouse tells him he's got terrible tusks and terrible claws and terrible teeth in his terrible jaws. Then he meets the owl and the owl asks him for dinner in his treetop house. See how my house is on top of a tree? He doesn't know what a Gruffalo is, so the mouse tells him, got knobbly knees, turned out toes, and a terrible wart at the end of his nose. And then we go up to this one here where he meets a snake. And he asks him for dinner in his log pile house. He doesn't know what a Gruffalo is. It's got orange eyes and a black tongue and those purple prickles all down his back. So, and then he sees the Gruffalo and he just explains all together what the Gruffalo is made up of. So you can see how I've done my story map and I am now able to tell you the story without looking at the book and without using my key event cards because I can look at my pictures and I remember what's happening. So I'd like you now to make your own story map and to draw the key events of the story. So start off with your first event card and draw a picture for that. Then move on to your second one, draw a picture for that and keep going. And if you're using my event cards, then you can do the same, but just with mine. Super. So can you now pause the video and go and draw your story map for me, please? And then come back because I've got one more thing I'd like you to do. Off you go. Well done. Have you drawn your story map now? That is super. So I would like us, now that we're at the end of sequencing our story, to have a think about our reflection. So we want to retell the story of the Gruffalo using all the wonderful things we've learnt this year, like apostrophes, commas in a list, statements, questions, exclamations. So what we've done today in making our story into a story map, how is that going to help us to be able to retell the story? In your outcome column today, can you write what we've learned today and how that's going to help us to be able to retell and rewrite the story? Well done. And then in your resilience column, as always, I'd like you to think about how you have shown resilience today in your learning or outside of your learning. And if you're feeling super clever, can you think about how you might use that resilience you've shown in something else? So either if you showed it today in your learning, how will that help you in your outcome? So retelling the story. Or if you showed it in your wider life, how's that going to help you to be able to achieve something else in your life? So can you please now pause the video and go and do your reflections? Off you go. Right. Well done. I can stop sharing my screen with you now. So we have been able to order our key events of the story, haven't we? We have listed the key events by using our key event cards. We found the first and the last event when we were putting these in order. And now we have properly sequenced our story in order by drawing our beautiful story map. And now we have that ready for us to be able to retell our story really easily. So fantastic. Well done for your hard work today in your English lesson. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for a little bit more. Have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.